One springtime, the news was full of images of despair. Bombs devastating whole neighborhoods. Grandmothers with their wrinkled faces weeping next to dead bodies. Parents clutching each other, wondering why their child had been shot at school. And so, to escape the world's turmoil for just a little bit, I went searching for morels. Morels are mushrooms, and they're hard to find. They're brown like dried leaves, and they grow close to the dirt. But I had reason to believe that I could get some for lunch because a friend of ours the day before had brought some nice big batch of morels that he had found up there on the mountain. Told me where he had found them. So I saddled up my horse, Gabe, and in about 20 minutes we were at the spot where he had said he had found his mushrooms. I got off Gabe, tied him to a tree, and walked downhill down a little run bed, kicking the leaves away with my boot. Didn't see any morels. Got down on my knees and lifted wet pancakes of leaves off the ground to see if there were morels under them. Nothing. I looked at every fallen log and at the base of every oak, elm, and ash, which is where they're supposed to grow, and nothing. Didn't see a one. Well, at this point, Gabe was pawing at the ground. He was ready to move on. So I walked back up the hill, looking at every likely spot. Didn't see anything. Got back on Gabe, and at this point I was hot and irritated, and I didn't want to go home empty-handed. So we walked up the trail a bit towards the top of the mountain. And as we got up to the very top, I realized that where there had once been a forest right on the other side of the mountain, there was now nothing. It had been clear-cut. All the trees had been felled. And as I walked out to the edge of a rock, instead of looking at a forest, I was actually looking at this vast expanse of sky and mountains. It was a striking panorama. It was as if we were standing in the doorway of an enormous cathedral. I sat on Gabe wondering how it was that such breathtaking beauty could coexist with such horrifying brutality in this world. As I sat there, a diminutive witness to this vast expanse of the natural world, I knew I wasn't going to change the news or alter the mess we've made of our environment, but still that panorama of mountain and sky shifted something inside of me. A bit of hope slid out from that blanket of despair. A hope that maybe loving deeply can mitigate the consequences of brutal trauma. Maybe small acts of kindness are sufficient responses to the evils of this world. I don't think evil is inevitable, especially if we can muster our imagination to conceive of a more compassionate world. Well, at this point, Gabe had had enough of philosophizing. He was pawing at the ground, ready to go home. So we headed down the mountain, but I couldn't resist stopping once more at a different spot. Got off Gabe, tied him again to the tree, and down right at my foot was a morel, a tiny little one. And then another one, just pretty small, and then a third, another small one. And then I couldn't find any more. That was it. When I finally got back to the house and showed the morels to Priscilla, she was unimpressed. 3 puny mushrooms? And all that time? What were you doing? Well, I told her about the clear cut and the view. And she said, "Oh, I know you. You've been communing with the land again. You've been looking for inspiration." I said, yeah, you're right. "Well," she asked, "did you find any?" "Just enough," I said. "Just enough."